So 3 weeks ago I started learning Dutch, and today, as usual, I'll give you another weekly update where I'll speak about the things I've been doing in the last 7 days. So I spent a big chunk of my time watching videos of the channel NOS, as I said last week. I always watch them at the very least 2 times in order to get familiar with the new pieces of vocabulary that show up. But something else I've done is to read short texts at an A1 and A2 level from the website Lingua. They are well written, they come with complementary activities, and they also teach you the pieces of vocabulary that you should know when you find yourself at those levels I just mentioned, like A1 and A2. Thus, it was useful for me because I learned some basic words I did not know before. But at the same time, these texts contained some words that were, in my opinion, sort of useless to learn at this stage because they were sort of very specific. For instance, tie, butterfly, or suit. I mean, I'm aware that they teach you these types of words at the beginning of any language learning textbook, but honestly, there are hundreds of expressions and words that are more useful to learn than these low-frequency words. So something else I did was to try to find out the similarities and the differences between Dutch and German. So as you know, both of these languages are very similar, and I happen to speak German, which is usually an advantage, right? Because I can learn vocabulary way quicker than people who don't speak German, for instance, or because I can get familiar with the sentence structure in Dutch way quicker because it's quite similar to the one in German, or sometimes identical. But there's also a downside to it, which is that there are small differences between the two languages, which you ought to take into account and to remember, because otherwise you might be misunderstood. So there are a bunch of false friends you should pay attention to. For instance, if you say ich bin gefahren in German, it means that you went somewhere with the car, for instance, or with a means of transportation through land. Whereas if you say that in Dutch, it means that you went somewhere through the water, not through land. Also, if you use the verb klappen in German, it means that something worked out, whereas in Dutch, it means that you have clapped your hands, for instance. And there are a bunch more, so I decided to have a look at them and try to learn them in order not to make dumb mistakes. Naar Stellenbosch gevaren. Like we went...
Nee, oké, ja, dat is heel Duits, gevaren.
Yeah.
Mijn moeder is Duits en ik zei altijd gevaren, omdat het... In Nederlands is het gereden.
By the way, now that we are talking about Dutch and German, let me tell you that I recently noticed that Dutch is actually way easier compared to German. So in German you have 4 cases, right? Whereas in Dutch you have none of that. And on top of that, Dutch has 2 genders only, whereas in German you have 3 of them. And these things make the grammar way simpler in Dutch. Anyway, I just wanted to mention this because I thought that some of you might find it interesting. All right, so now moving on to the achievements, I've noticed that I've already reached a level which is pretty close to the very beginning of the B1, and it's certainly towards the end of the A2. So let me show you how my current level looks like. Op een bepaalde moment heb ik besloten dat het woorden beter zijn. Het anders te studeren, something else. Study something else.
Iets anders te studeren?
Ik denk dat op het begin kan dat flexibel zijn, maar we can see, wij kunnen kijken.
Ja, we kunnen kijken.
Dat betekent dat ik leer heel veel, niet nur over het taal, maar ook over het land. Bijvoorbeeld in diesem geval, ik leer heel veel over Nederland. En ik leer ook over die tradities in Nederland en ook over het geschiedenis van Nederland. De eerste reden is dat het salaris in Duitsland groter is dan het salaris in Spanje. Het is... ik kan meer geld verdienen. I can earn more money.
Ja, heel goed.
Ja, oké. Gekeken. Ik heb gisteren een paar video's gekeken. En ik dacht, ik kan die video's zusammenfassen, summarize. Samenvatten. De eerste video gaat over goud. En de tweede video gaat over aardmetalen. Vandaag praat ik een beetje over materialen. By the way, I'm sorry to interrupt, but if you're enjoying this video, could you give it a like? Thanks. This means that if we make the linear projection of the progress I've made so far, it means that I'll certainly reach the B2 level within the next few weeks. But language learning is not linear, so the better I get at it, the more difficult it becomes to get to the next level. But still, I'm pretty happy to be very close to the B1 level after just a few weeks learning Dutch. So now moving on to the goals for the upcoming week. So given that by then I'll have reached 1/3 of the challenge, I'm gonna look up an online exam at an A2 level and go through it in order to see where I really stand, what my flaws are, and to see where I really should focus my energies on. I'm now thinking that it would probably be a good idea to take a sort of B1 exam towards the end of the second month and a sort of B2 exam towards the middle of the third month. Going through these tests can be an excellent way of getting feedback and knowing where my weak points are. Alright, now it's time to speak a little bit in Dutch, and in today's video I'm going to talk a little bit about cheese. Na het vorige week over fietsen te hebben gehad, wil ik het nu hebben over iets anders wat heel vaak met Nederland wordt geassocieerd: kaas. Er zijn goede redenen om dit product met Nederland te associëren, want Nederland exporteert 2/3 van zijn interne kaasproductie en is daarmee de grootste kaasexporteur ter wereld. De meest bekende Nederlandse kaassoort is Gouda. Het is een halfharde kaas en vormt meer dan de helft van de Nederlandse kaasproductie. De op na meest geproduceerde Nederlandse kaas, waar je waarschijnlijk wel eens van hebt gehoord, is Edamer. Interessant is dat de meeste Nederlandse kazen zijn vernoemd naar de regio waar ze vandaan komen. Bijvoorbeeld Gouda is een stad in de provincie Zuid-Holland en Edam is een stad in de provincie Noord-Holland. En er is zelfs een kaas genaamd Old Amsterdam. Tegenwoordig wordt zo'n 60% van de Nederlandse kaasproductie geproduceerd in de regio rondom de stad Gouda, wel ook Cheese Valley genoemd. Alright, that was it for today. Thank you for watching and see you in a few days.